Hare Krishna. What are we talking about?
Nice.
Eating more? Eating more? Eating? Sleeping? So we're continuing our discussion. We're reading from Prabhupada's books, teachings, instructions. We're not making this up on the fly. Whatever we heard, whatever we're hearing, whatever we're realizing, we're sharing that for our own purification, to become strong in our own faith and realization, and to help others to also hear that message. Those who are qualifying themselves, they'll take to this message. It's too exacting, it's too narrow, it's too absolute, because they don't want to really surrender. So for them it will be difficult. So it says that it's simple, for the simple-hearted people. And for those who are not simple-hearted, it seems almost impossible. Because we just remain in a false ego, bodily platform, bodily consciousness. So the subject matter, we're trying to understand it materially, three-dimensionally, theoretically, intellectually. And so it doesn't make sense, it doesn't line up, it's not consistent, it doesn't seem practical. There's too many things that appear to be opposite or opposing. So for complicated people, it's very difficult actually, even to understand what to speak of having faith and realization. So when I was looking up about bodily consciousness, we were talking about that last night. And Prabhupada says that this is the spiritual disease, and that everybody's in the bodily consciousness. They know their body, their mind, the body and mind of their friends and family, relatives. That's all they know, that's all they can see in this materialistic consciousness. So the first teachings in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is emphasizing that you're not your body, that you're an eternal spirit soul, not temporary material body. It's the first major teaching in spiritual life. And Prabhupada says that it's not enough to theoretically say that, oh, we are spirit souls, we're eternal servants of Krishna, we are not this body. Prabhupada said it's not enough to just make this statement theoretically, although it's correct, it's theoretical. So Prabhupada says you must come onto the platform of the soul in order to realize that we are not this body. So we have to transcend this material consciousness, bodily consciousness, polluted consciousness, in order to practically realize that we are not this body. It sounds so easy. Yes, we're not this body, we're part and parcel of Krishna. But then Prabhupada said 99.999% of the people, all they really know is their body and their mind, their emotions, their feelings, their thoughts, their speculations, their plans, everything related to body and bodily relations. And so this is very, very deep-rooted problem. It's not you just a little bit chant and read some philosophy and automatically that's what devotees. Purification and freedom from modes of nature and all of the different types of gross and subtle material desire and attachment. It's not cleared yet. So consciousness is still under modes of material nature, still influenced by the bodily conception, bodily relations, material desires, material attachments. So Krishna says you have to come. Prabhupada said, I want perfect gentleman, perfect lady, Brahman, a real Brahman platform. Then that's stepping stone to Shuddha Sattva. So Shuddha Sattva means a pure goodness, pure consciousness on the platform of the soul. That's a liberated platform beyond Nishta, beyond Anatta Nivritti and Nishta. And Krishna says on that platform, pure devotional service begins. So we're already assuming we're devotees, we're chanting not the body, we're doing pure devotional service, we're sincere, we're surrendered. We're assuming a lot, but it may not be real. It may not be real, because how can it be? Unless you come to the platform of the soul, that's when you go from theoretical or philosophical understanding to or jnana platform to tattva vijnanam. And vijnanam, tattva vijnanam means realized. Prabhupada describes it as a scientific realization and knowledge, not just theoretical or academic or philosophical, but practically realized. So without coming to the platform of the soul and pure consciousness by the mercy of Guru Krishna, it's very difficult to really understand anything on transcendental platform. We're taking some philosophical, intellectual understanding, theoretical understanding, and then we're just thinking that it's spiritual, and then we're discussing it as if it's realized. And it may not be realized or fully realized because it's still contaminated, polluted consciousness, because still cleansing, purification process is not sufficient. So when I was going to look for different, authoritative statements from the Shastra, from the scriptures, I couldn't even go further than the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada really nicely is speaking on this topic about consciousness, polluted consciousness, Krishna consciousness, process of purification, how to transcend material modes of nature, bodily conception of life, how to go from theoretical understanding that we are not this body, yes, we are not this body, and then everything we're thinking and doing is we are this body. The only thing that we're saying, what words coming out of the mouth is the only thing that we're doing. We're not this body. We're spirit souls. We're servants of God. Right? But the whole rest of the time, we're just totally tuned into what our mind is telling, what our feelings, our emotions. Right? Even when you see people say, "How you feeling?" Right? How you doing? How you feeling? Right? Everyone just says, "Okay, my emotions are all right, sort of. My mind is like, it's all right. It's not so crazy today." So we're having a pretty good day because mind and senses, emotions, feelings, it's a little bit manageable. And then we're a little more peaceful to speculate, and then talk about high spiritual subject matters, and then try to present ourselves as learned pundits and senior devotees that everyone has to hear our opinion. By material, everyone has to share. Right? This is a big thing. Everyone has to share. Right? But what are they sharing? Oh, here I am, I'm walking across the street. I almost got hit by a bus. Right? There's like too much useless information of sharing. And everybody's distracted by this. But what it is everyone taking themselves so damn seriously, and that everything that's going on around them is the center of the universe. So this is the epitome of I, me, and mine. Selfies, right? Everything's selfish, selfish. Me.
I
Huh? iPad. Yeah. iPad, selfies, selfish, right? So this bodily concept of life, it's not so cheap and easy to transcend that, because it means you have to get free from all material modes of nature. All of this contaminated, polluted consciousness has to be cleansed up. One literally has to come to the platform of liberation, where one is situated in pure consciousness and realizes, not theoretically but practically, that we are eternal servant of Krishna. Then we can analyze, then we can understand all of these topics. We talked about last night about humility. Yes, we're analyzing this and this and that. But if all of the analysis is under the modes of material nature, with material intelligence, material mind, senses, mental speculation, sentimentality, theoretical, so-called philosophical understanding, which a lot of that is we're misunderstanding, but we don't even know we're misunderstanding because nobody is really correcting us. So this is not a small topic. But anyway, Prabhupada is speaking in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And Prabhupada says here that when Krishna descends into this material universe, his consciousness is not at all materially affected by these material modes of nature. He's completely unaffected and completely transcendental to those modes of material nature. And Prabhupada says, if one is affected or influenced by these material modes of nature, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental subject matters as he does in Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is saying that as long as one is affected by material modes of nature, their intelligence, mind, and senses is contaminated or infected by those material modes, they're not able to understand practically. They're unfit to really be able to understand and speak on transcendental subject matters. So if we're just assuming that we're already on this platform, then we think we're very fit to understand and measure everything from transcendental point of view and come to some transcendental spiritual conclusion. And we're taking it as very authoritative, very absolute, because of course we thought it up. And so therefore it must automatically be transcendental. So Krishna and anyone who wants to really understand and speak on transcendental subject matter, they must become purified and unaffected by this influence of material modes of material nature. Otherwise, one could not realize it. If one not realize it, then what we're speaking is just theoretical. And that theoretical may also be misunderstood. So we're just assuming that our theoretical understanding is absolute and pure and concise, but in fact it may also be fraught with a lot of misunderstanding, misconceptions, and so therefore it's not only incomplete and theoretical, but it's also factually not scientific or correct. Prabhupada says one cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So we're not free from material contaminated consciousness, and we're all talking about the transcendental world. Well, Krishna's like this, and yes, and Vaikuntha, the Lord Vrindavan, everybody's doing like this and that. Isn't it? So we're still influenced under modes of nature, Tamagun, Rajagun, especially in the Kali Yuga. We have no real qualification without going through the actual scientific process of purification from a Dao Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Vajana Kriya, Anatta Nivritti. Then one comes to Nishta. Nishta means beyond material modes of nature, that's transcendental position. Krishna says that's where pure devotional service begins. What we're doing before that is a process of bhakti, which is a process of purification. And Prabhupada says factually the path of bhakti is a process of purification in beginning. But that's not the goal. It's related to Krishna, it's related to devotional service, so that's also bhakti. But it's beginning bhakti or Vaidhi bhakti, following rules, regulations, do's, do nots, instruction, general instructions, specific instructions. And this is in order to get the mercy from Krishna and from Prabhupada, from the spiritual master. Therefore, by that mercy, we can get purified of the sinful reactions, all this ignorance, which are different types of contaminated, materially contaminated consciousness. So one cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. But as devotees, everybody's thinking they know something. Everybody's saying something about the transcendental world, but we're not free from this theoretical understanding. We're not free from misconception. We're not free from materially contaminated consciousness. And we're thinking that we know so many things, and we're speaking so many things that we think are part of the transcendental world. So that's why I say we're assuming a lot because we don't understand the subtlety of the science. We don't understand the tattva. And that's why unless someone explains that to us, we're going to just go on assuming until we're corrected otherwise. I remember when I was in Bhubaneswar in India, sometimes big body, difficult to take the heat, humidity, right? So I was trying to get out of India. I said to Gurudev, I'm going to go back to the West, back to America, and I'm going to preach all of this transcendental knowledge that you have given to us. And Gurudev, like little smiled, little bit, kind of laughed, and said that if you don't fully realize these topics, what will be your preaching? Your preaching will just be theoretical, and you'll be doing that under so much misconception, So if you're assuming you have so much misconception, you're not totally realizing and understanding the science, Vijnanam, Tattva Vijnanam, then what will your preaching be? What will you preach? You'll preach a theoretical version. If you're perfect in your theoretical, even that's not enough. And then mostly our theoretical understanding is also very, very faulty, because everything has been accumulated and kind of gathered with imperfect intelligence, mind, and senses. So Prabhupada says material life, material consciousness, everything is faulty. But we're assuming, no, I'm devotee, I know philosophy, I'm studying Shastra, I can speak something about Krishna. And the Prabhupada says if you're completely still affected by material modes of nature, You cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from material contaminated consciousness. So the spiritual master, when we first came to Bhubaneswar, we said, what is in order to recognize and hear from pure devotee? And Guru said, yes. Otherwise, how will you be able to understand it? So you have to become a pure devotee by the mercy of pure devotee, mercy of two mercies, mercies of Krishna, mercy of Guru, Shiguru, spiritual master. Sanjay said, my spiritual master showered mercy on me, and he purified my intelligence, my mind, and my senses. And with that purified consciousness, then I was able to hear Krishna directly. Purified consciousness, we have no access to that fourth dimensional platform or transcendental platform because we're still affected, contaminated in polluted material consciousness. So that's why the cleansing process is so much required. Otherwise, one cannot really put any faith in what they're thinking about it, anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So if we're deaf, dumb, and blind, are we really the person who can say when we are completely free from material contaminated consciousness? Are we that person who can measure that? So Krishna, spiritual master, and if he helps us to come to this platform of purified consciousness, then we can see the difference between realized knowledge and theoretical knowledge. Prabhupada talks about actual, factual, really, that's different than ordinary knowledge or theoretical knowledge. So one cannot say or think or come to some right conclusion about transcendental realm, world. That means Krishna, Krishna's name, Krishna's devotee, Krishna's pastimes, anything to do with Krishna is in transcendental world platform. Vasudeva platform, Shuddha Sattva platform. So it's not like, okay, we're here, I'm not going to say something about the local Vrindavan and Vaikuntha. Spiritual world means everything that's on fourth dimensional transcendental platform. So even our understanding of Krishna is also theoretical. Because without pure bhakti, Krishna says, only by pure loving devotional service will I reveal myself to you. So if we don't go through that process of purification and get freed from selfish desires, gross and subtle desires, there's no question of doing pure devotional service. And without pure devotional service, Krishna says, I hide myself from you. So all these other desires, gross and subtle, are selfish. And it's one karma, jnana, yoga, even if you want to call it pseudo spirituality, it's still materially conscious, materially contaminated in material desire. And Krishna says he'll hide himself from us. So without pure, loving, devotional service, not theoretically, but practically, only then will Krishna reveal himself. So two mercies are required. Mercy of Krishna. If we really want to surrender to Krishna, we really want to know him, we really want to learn how to do this pure devotional service, he'll be the witness and the judge of that. And if it's true, if it's real, then he'll send bona fide guru, a Daushoda Sadhu Sangha, and by hearing from Sadhu Guru Vaishnava, then Krishna, Guru, Holy Name, Harikatha, Srimad Bhagavatam, all of that transcendental association and hearing that transcendental sound vibration, that's the cleansing, that's the medicine, that's the purification process that comes by that Shravana. That's the process of purification. Shotapanta means a path of hearer. So bhakti is a path of hearer. And beginning that hearing is how do you purify your consciousness and how do you develop faith. Later that hearing is based on how you're showing, how you're serving Krishna in loving devotion. They're also hearing. Gopis also hearing, but they already have love. They're not hearing to try to purify themselves. They're already pure. Their hearing is how to just do more and more loving service towards Krishna. So Krishna, his name, his devotees. Who is his devotee? We're all saying we're devotees. We're all chanting Hare Krishna. So what are we chanting? Hare Krishna. Welcome, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So we're chanting, there's a Namaparad. So we have theoretical understanding about Krishna, we're chanting, and then we're meditating on fulfilling our material desires and maintaining our material attachments while chanting. That's a Namaparad. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says if you're chanting Namaparad, means you're not really serious about Krishna because you're meditating on your material desires, your plans, your material attachments. That's where your love is, where your mind's at, is about all things related to the body, bodily relations. Therefore that chanting is Namaparad. Krishna doesn't manifest in the Namaparad. The Krishna manifests in all your material desires, material attachments, will leave you. But because we don't want that, therefore Krishna not coming, and we're just mechanically chanting. But Krishna knows in the heart, really, what do you want? What is your real desire, your real attachment? So Prabhupada said, first try to come to this level of namabhas, which means the chanting in the liberated state. First try to come to that platform, and that means beyond anatta liberty. That means liberated platform. Then Krishna will manifest in that type of chanting, because the material desire, material attachment, these other materialistic thoughts and plans and ideas, it will become not disturbing. And Krishna will see all your sincerity, some sincerity, seriousness on soul platform, that Krishna will begin to reveal himself. Krishna says, as you surrender unto me, I reveal myself to you. You surrendered 5%, I'll show you 5%. You surrendered 20%, I'll give you 20%. Proportional. Proportional surrender. So, Gurudeva, my spiritual master used to say that the surrender that we're doing, it's not real surrender. It's a partial surrender. So sometimes we're trying to surrender, and a lot of times, and most of the times, we're not really surrendering. Too much wind. And so that partial surrender means not really surrender, and it means we don't really have faith. We don't have sufficient faith, not only in Krishna, we don't have faith in our own strength of our desire to want to surrender and serve Krishna. That's why we're hesitating, that's why our surrender is partial, or it's conditional. Okay, I'll surrender, I'll do something in this process, but I better get everything that I want and I need. And if I'm getting everything I want and need, then I'll try to keep surrender. And as soon as it's not exactly how we're thinking, what we think we need, or what we want, then I don't know if I really want to be devotee now. So that means our surrender is very conditional. All right, Krishna, I'll surrender, but you got to do this for me. And as soon as you don't do that for me, I don't really want to surrender. So that's not the real surrender. And then artificially, sentimentally, oh yes, everything belongs to Krishna. We are also Krishnas. We love Krishna. Right, so very sentimental, very artificial. And then as soon as Krishna Guru is telling us, do like this, we're like, oh, I don't know. That sounds difficult. That will put me in trouble. I wasn't planning on that. So it's sentimental, artificial. It's not the real surrender. And in fact, it says that without prema, without bhakti, then you can't really surrender. Hare Krishna. Hare Because it means we have other desire. Enrico, is that your father? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hare Krishna. So we can just assume we're already chanting, we're already devotees, we already surrendered, we're already sincere, we're already not this body, we're already engaged in devotional service, we're already senior devotee, we have so much knowledge of the transcendental realm and the transcendental world. Therefore, everyone should just listen to us and stop doubting us and challenging us. Pay some respect. Pay some respect. So we are assuming many, many things on apparent consideration. Apparently, we realized all of these things. But factually, scientifically, from an absolute point of view, it's not at all correct. But without hearing an absolute scientific presentation of how it's not true, it's not correct, it's not real, we'll never know. We would never know. Because we're just taking what we're assuming under modes of material nature and saying that now we're devoted, now we're like liberated, we're strictly following whatever we're studying, we're realizing about that transcendental realm. We're getting lectures and classes, speaking very theoretically, but we don't think it's theoretical. We think it's the real thing. We think it's realized. And until a realized devotee tells you what's the actual science, then you can compare a scientific, factually, actually realized scientific understanding versus a very kind of sentimental and theoretical or academic materialistic version going on in the name of pure devotional service. And because it's very subtle, it's very difficult to understand that. Because it says until you are completely unaffected by modes of material nature, until you are, what does Prabhupada say? As long as you are affected, you would be unfit to be able to speak on transcendental subject matters. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from material contaminated consciousness. So if we're not free from an apparent materially contaminated consciousness, then we're saying so many things about the transcendental world. So what do those words mean? What are those concepts? Do those concepts and words, is that transcendental? Is Krishna empowering, manifesting within that katha, within that type of theoretical, materialistic, sentimental, speculative type of practice? So we're assuming way too much, and because we're still on the material modes of nature, we're thinking we're already liberated. Therefore, we're not seeing anything. Therefore, because we don't see it, it means it's not there. And so everything is clear now. So you can just go on with your understanding as if it's already transcendentally conceived, understood, and transmitted. Make sense? One cannot think or say anything about the transcendental realm, fourth dimensional platform. That means Krishna, Krishna's devotees, their pastimes, leelas, pastimes, about this transcendental abode, anything on that transcendental platform, in that transcendental world, one who is still contaminated by material modes of nature, material contaminated consciousness, they cannot really know anything about that platform. That's why Mahaprabhu says that if you chant, like a blade of grass lying on the street, right? That means utter humility and more tolerant than a tree, and demanding no respect, no pratishta, and giving respects to one and all. Then you can chant Hare Krishna properly and constantly. So I remember when we were hearing that verse in the beginning, I was saying, okay, I got to be humble, and I have to try to be tolerant, and I have to not demand any respect. I should try to be respectful. But how can you, those are all transcendental qualities. Utter humility means platform of the soul. Ability to tolerate, the power of patience and tolerance is on the platform of the soul. Not demanding any respect, no gross or subtle material desire. That means platform of the soul. That means Brahma Buddha. That means pure devotional service platform. And then what is that chanting before coming to that platform? It's theoretical. Now, if you have a theoretical understanding, and then we're sitting there like, I wish I could be humble, I wish I could become tolerant, I wish I would stop being, demanding respect, I wish I could start judging and criticizing and finding fault with other devotees or other living entities. That's good with desiring to want to come to that platform. But without coming to that platform, it's not really possible because we're still influenced, infected under material modes of nature. Therefore, one cannot think or speak about with faith and realization anything about the transcendental world without becoming completely free from these materially contaminated consciousness. So are we assuming too much? So therefore the Lord,
Итак, поэтому
Prabhupada says, and Lord, your devotees are not materially contaminated.
преданные Господа, они материально
Sanjay said, because my spiritual master blessed me and showered mercy on me, only by his power and the power of his mercy could he purify my materially contaminated intelligence, mind, and senses. So by the mercy of Krishna, mercy of my spiritual master, he purified my consciousness that allowed me to be able to hear and understand about Krishna, to hear Krishna's instructions. So Krishna is the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is speaking Bhagavatam. But when we hear Bhagavatam, are we hearing Krishna with full faith and realization? No. Because still intelligence, mind, and senses are influenced and contaminated by these material modes of material nature and the bodily concept of life. Prabhupada said our consciousness in the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. If we're deaf, dumb, and blind, spiritually, do we fully realize how our senses, intelligence, mind, and senses are still contaminated? Can we measure that? Can we understand that? What does it mean spiritually deaf, dumb, and blind? It means that platform, that transcendental platform, Shuddha Sattva platform, we have no access to that platform. So everything you're thinking and feeling and speaking about, it's all under modes of material nature. It's all still contaminated and influenced by this material contaminated consciousness. And you say, well, this is the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. I've been a devotee for how many years? Chanting Hare Krishna, giving classes, doing so much seva. You poor people, you're just reading introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. We're reading the Sandarbhas. We're doing, Raganuga. We're all doing the Mela, Kirtan Mela. All sitting like gopis in the mood of separation. You put on the t-shirt, I lost my heart in Vrindavan. And then you just play act like children. Right? They were all gopis. We're all in the mood of separation. We don't even know Krishna. Really? So you have a theoretical understanding of Krishna. Now you have a theoretical understanding of a mood of separation. So you have a theoretical mood of separation. So you have theoretical understanding of Krishna and your theoretical understanding of Vrindavan. And we're just assuming the whole thing is transcendental. And nobody's telling us like this is not real. Because they believe it's real. Krishna says, you want to worship the demigods, you want to worship, anything else, anybody else, any other so-called religion. It's all like a cult. Krishna says, I'll give you intelligence and faith to do that. So they have intelligence and faith. Of course, it's not the real faith. It's not purified intelligence. They're cheating. It's kaitava. But because you want to cheat, Krishna's cheating you, and you're believing that you're getting kripa. You're getting mercy. Because you feel it. I feel it in my heart. The tears are rolling from my face. I'm in the mood of separation. They don't even have a
У
guru,
них даже гуру нет.
right? Prabhupada said, if you're sincere and serious and you want to surrender to Krishna, Krishna will send you a bona fide guru.
Истинного гуру.
And by those two mercy, Krishna and bona fide guru,
Истинного
they'll
гуру.
help you
Они помогут тебе.
how to purify this contaminated material consciousness and understand the science
И понять науку,
of Krishna consciousness.
сознание Кришны.
But without that mercy of Krishna, without mercy of bona fide guru,
Без милости истинного гуру
we're misunderstanding
мы
everything
недопонимаем все.
and we're taking it as
Мы
real,
понимаем это все как реальность.
and nobody's telling
И
us
никто нам не
anything
говорит
different.
ничего другого.
And because you feel like it's
Потому
real,
что ты чувствуешь, что это
and
реально.
my emotions were
Мои
affected,
эмоции были
and
затронуты.
tears came from my eyes,
То есть эти слезы из моих глаз.
therefore it must be
Это,
transcendental.
наверное,
It must be real.
это должно быть реально.
So there's a process,
Это вот
right? It says that if you don't follow Srila Rupa Goswami, you don't follow the six Goswamis' instructions, then you will remain disturbed and you will be disturbing. You have no access to Radha Krishna and Radha Krishna Leela or pastime unless you go through the system of purification. But this Prakrita Sahaja,
Но есть практика сахаджа.
right? These people, they take everything
Эти люди,
cheaply.
они понимают все дешево.
The hardest work is how to purify your consciousness. Yeah, we have so much material consciousness, material attachments, material desires, sinful reactions, so much weakness of the heart, so much lust, so much pride. These things, you don't just snap your finger and then that thing is gone. Okay, now I'm Raganuga Bhakta. That's a cheating. So the hard work, we want to avoid the purification process. We just want to skip all the way to bhava. I mean, why stop at nishta? You know, let's just go to bhava. Let's just go to mood of separation. The mood of separation means prem bhakti. So you're going to skip the whole process of purification, go under modes of material nature with so much misconception, with still so much material contaminated consciousness, desires and attachment. What access do we have to transcendental world, transcendental realm? Prabhupada said you cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being completely free from material contaminated consciousness. So these people leading the kirtan, right? They're like professional musicians. Smoke some marijuana, you know, get some emotions going, do some rock and roll, harmonium, grow some stool out of your head. Right? It's like a costume. Like costume. Like rock and roll concert, sometimes they put on costume. So this is a cheating. And they're charging you money to go to that mela. You want backstage pass, you want to see the VIPs, you have to give more money. So this is all. And because Prabhupada said, because you're not reading my books, you're not reading and understanding the books, transcendental books, these are law books. And because you don't read my books, I'm writing these books for you. If you don't read my books and instructions and you don't understand it properly, you're gonna assume too much, and you're gonna get cheated. Because you don't know what is what. You have no way to judge or understand anything because you're not studying the law books. And then when you say, well, Prabhupada said, don't do like this is not required, this is cheating. They say, well, my guru said it was fine. So they're reading autobiography of their own guru.
The two parts.
Huh?
The two parts.
Two parts. And then they're writing book, autobiography. They're not even mentioning their spiritual master. I did everything. I was sitting on the bank of Chamuna. I was sitting, some sadhus were going by. Right? So you're just starting from that point. A couple years earlier, you're doing LSD and heroin and narcotics and drinking like a fish. Right? In your autobiography, it's just you starting on the bank of Jamuna. There's like a few parts like missing from the story. Right? Sanatana Goswami, he's telling that, you know, by your mercy, you pulled me out of this hellhole. I don't even realize I'm so messed up. Because I'm thinking I'm so smart. I'm a pandit. And people around me are telling me you're a pandit. You're a guru, you're a sadhu. You're an exalted, transcendental, spiritual. You have superpowers. And I believed it. But somehow or other, by your mercy, you woke me up and made me realize, oh my God, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know the questions to ask of what I even need. So you're my spiritual master. Just tell me what's in my best interest, because I don't even know. So how do you write a book about your spiritual life and give no praise or appreciation or gratitude or credit to your spiritual master? Every Vaishnava will say, I'm only running on the mercy of my spiritual master. Prabhupada said, because my spiritual master wanted me to come to the Western world and to spread Krishna consciousness, to spread Mahaprabhu's movement. Personally, I don't feel like on my own I can do it. It's impossible. But because my guru wanted it, then I'm just taking such a risk, because if he wants it, he can empower me, then it will be possible. And even when devotees came to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada was saying that you all coming because of my spiritual master. He didn't say you're coming because of me. He said, my spiritual master sent you to help me, to push his movement. So these people, they're writing Hollywood movies about themselves. And they're starting at the point that they're all Raganuga Bhaktas. And they're all in the mood of separation. Yeah, they're separated. They are certainly separated. More from reality than anything else. You should feel separated. But sometimes I met these gurus and they're trying to act like gopis and, cowherd boys, and you meet them. When you're traveling, you meet them. They're playing nice drama.
Они играют хороший театр.
And then the other gurus are saying, oh, he's a Rajabasi,
О, знаете, кого он разговаривает?
he's cowherd boy,
Мальчик пастушок.
he's like gopi,
Он как Божий.
right? And then everyone's like, oh, okay. So when I meet this Maharaj, I say, wow,
Это
they really believe it.
подумал, они реально верят в
And then why are they believing it is because they don't have a guru.
потому что они гуру.
Because if they had a guru, the guru would say, this is all imagination.
Это все воображение.
This is all speculation. This is all sentimentality. Because you are ignoring
Игнорируют.
the direct scientific instructions of the six Goswamis.
Простое данное себя с вами.
And you cannot explain any of the other processes that you already skipped
Которые ты уже сам перепрыгнул.
to come to your transcendental world. And then the ordinary, innocent, ignorant devotees, they have no idea.
Они даже понятия не имеют.
And because I say like this, then they get mad at me.
Они злятся на меня.
You're criticizing the pure devotees. It's offensive.
Это оскорбление.
I've been saying this for 30 years.
Говорите об этом 30 лет.
I'm doing pretty good.
А дела у меня очень плохо.
Like if I'm that wrong, like wouldn't I be rotting in hell like eternally? Right? If anything, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting more convinced that I'm right. Because I know I heard
Потому что я слышал,
from somebody who knows.
кто это знает.
So these people saying so many things about the transcendental world. But Prabhupada said, you cannot think up, you cannot say anything about the transcendental spiritual world without being completely free from material contaminated consciousness. So if they're saying all these things about the spiritual world, does that automatically mean that they must be completely free from materially contaminated consciousness? Should we just assume that because they're talking theoretically, academically about a transcendental world? This is unpalatable,
Это неприятно.
and it's not politically correct. So I'm coming to, I'm ISKCON devotee, I'm Prabhupada follower. All of our followers are ISKCON, Prabhupada followers. We're coming to the world headquarters,
Мы приезжаем в штаб-квартиру.
and we're speaking, this is from Prabhupada's instructions. Why aren't they speaking about this?
Почему они говорят об этом?
Because this is just introduction of the Bhagavad Gita.
Введение в Бхагавад-гиту.
We're Raganuga Bhaktas. We have not, we're reading about the Sandarbhas. You're reading about the Sandarbhas of the six Goswamis, Jiva Goswami, right? Rupa Goswami, and then you're not even understanding or following their instructions. You can't explain scientifically any one of those stages properly. Not even one of them.
Даже один.
They can't explain a Tao Shraddha. They can't explain Sadhu
Они
Sangha.
могут объяснить,
They can't explain Anata
они
Nirvritti
могут объяснить о нашем языке.
or Bhajana Kriya, Anata Nirvritti. Isn't it?
Разве так?
So this is not if you want to move ahead in the hierarchy of the institution, then don't do what I'm doing.
Делайте то, что делаю я.
If you just want to be a guru and a senior devotee, and get some zone or some temple or some president or some post, money, followers. Don't speak like I'm
Вы не
speaking,
говорите, как я говорю.
because it's politically
Потому что политика
incorrect.
это некорректно.
But it's the truth,
Но это правда.
isn't it?
Разве не так?
Boy, I hope so.
Есть, ребята.
It better be the truth, otherwise we're all going to
Это
hell.
правда, иначе мы все в ад идем.
That's why we're quoting authority. If I'm just making these statements, you'd be like, oh my God, this is radical. This is deviation. This is offensive.
Это оскорбление.
I'm reading
Но
Prabhupada's
я читаю
instructions, Prabhupada's exact quotes.
прямые цитаты Шрила Прабхупады.
And the GBC chairman said, your problem,
Он говорит,
I said, what is the problem? I'm speaking Prabhupada's books and teachings, instructions, I'm quoting Srila Prabhupada.
цитирую Шрилу Прабхупаду.
And he said, yes,
Я говорю,
Murali,
да, Мурали,
you're quoting Srila Prabhupada,
вы цитируете Шрилу
but you're not quoting what we're quoting.
Прабхупаду, цитируем мы.
So it's not even, they can't even say that
Они не могут сказать,
my problem is I'm quoting Prabhupada.
проблема это что вы
Their problem is I'm not quoting what they're
их
quoting.
проблема это то, что я цитирую то, что не цитируют они.
And I'm asking them, well, why are you not quoting what I'm quoting?
Вы цитируете то, что цитирую я.
So we have it's like a standoff.
У нас это противостояние.
Let's continue. I'm sorry that this is just introduction
Видите, что это просто введение.
and you're so elevated that you need some high spiritual understanding. I'm not a jnani.
Я не гьяни,
I'm not a
я
scholar.
не ученый.
I don't speak very good
Я не
Sanskrit.
говорю хорошо на санскрите.
So I may not be the teacher for
Я,
you.
может быть, не учитель тогда для
You
вас.
may need some more,
Вам может быть,
like skinny,
может более худенький,
someone who eats dry chapati,
который питается сухими чипатами.
does some yoga, some
Кому
pranayama,
занимается пранаямой,
some photographic memory.
кому фотографическая память есть.
They're available. You go to the marketplace, everything's available.
Там всё доступно.
So our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. And the Bhagavad Gita teaches we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. But they say, well, I've been a devotee for 30, 40 years. I purified my consciousness a long time ago.
Всё давным-давно.
This is introduction of Bhagavad Gita.
Это введение в Бхагавад-гиту.
I surrendered, 20 years ago.
Я уже 20 лет назад кидался.
So we're assuming too
Мы
much,
по умолчанию понимаем слишком много.
and we don't even know it.
И даже не понимаем.
We don't even know it.
Даже не понимаем.
Because someone who knows it
Потому что
has not explained it to them. And why? Because they don't want to hear it. They want to be a guru,
Они хотят быть гуру.
right?
Правильно?
I said to one Maharaj,
Я сказал
he
одному
said,
Махараджу.
are you telling
Он сказал, вы что говорите?
that devotees,
Я Махарадж,
what was the question about
You're afraid of the super soul?
no, not about the super soul, about the reading. Are you
а
telling
вы что говорите?
that devotee cannot understand everything by reading
Понять чтение,
Prabhupada's books?
Шрилы Прабхупады,
And I sent him 50 quotes
послал ему 50 цитат, 50.
where Prabhupada saying directly,
Говорит прямо.
you cannot
Ты не
understand
можешь понять.
these books and teachings just merely by reading.
Через чтение.
You have to hear it
Нужно слушать.
from one who understands
Кто
it.
понимает это.
If you're just reading it, material mind, material intellect, material senses, and you're coming to some, theoretical misconception, that doesn't make it transcendental.
Это не делает это трансцендентным.
We have to hear it, Shravana,
Слушать, Шравана.
from self-realized soul
Сама
who has heard properly from his guru,
который правильно слышал от своего
then you can understand what are you reading.
можешь понять, что ты читаешь.
Nobody's saying don't. You're saying you shouldn't read. No, we should read,
Мы должны читать.
but we should hear from one who understands it, so that when we read it, we'll understand it properly and remember it. What we previously heard from our spiritual master. Nobody's saying don't read.
Никто не говорит, не надо читать.
Prabhupada's saying not just by reading
Только не просто через
will you understand
ты
it.
поймешь.
Right? If it says that if you're chanting Nama Parad in material consciousness, Krishna not manifesting there.
Не проявляется.
Right?
Правильно?
So if you're reading in material
Ты
consciousness,
читаешь в материальном сознании.
is Krishna manifesting there in the Shastra?
Проявляется в шастре.
Do we have access?
Есть у нас доступ.
Again, we're assuming
Опять же, мы
too much based on
принимаем полностью
misconception, based on not understanding
сердце.
the science. Any question about this so far?
Какие-то вопросы есть? По этой теме пока?
Anything?
Что-нибудь?
You all understand this one? Do you accept this one?
Понимаете все эти моменты?
You accept? Everybody accept?
Все понимают это.
You don't even know what I'm talking
Вот это
about.
вы не знаете, про что я говорю.
Yeah, you accept.
Мы чуть не понимаем.
We have a bunch of yes men,
У нас тут
yes ladies. Yes, we do. We accept. We don't know what you're talking about. We accept. Prabhupada said that in the pure consciousness, what is platform of pure consciousness? Platform of the soul. What is platform of the soul? Shuddha Sattva, pure consciousness. What platform do you have to be on to be in that consciousness? After Anatta Nivritti. Nishta, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma platform. Otherwise, it's still contaminated and polluted and infected by this material modes of nature. That says even a perfect Brahmana cannot necessarily understand Shuddha Sattva platform. Even the demigods, they cannot understand Shuddha Sattva platform because they're still affected by material modes of nature. They still have gross and subtle material desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. So without becoming Bhakta, Shuddha Bhakta, just being a Brahmana in mode of goodness is also not enough. That just brings you up to the threshold that there's something called Brahman, that there's some spiritual substance, spiritual energy, and material energy. So you can make that distinction on Brahman platform. But they still think they're their body. They still think I'm a Brahmana. I am this body. I'm from this family. So they're still under modes of material nature. It's just mode of goodness. So if they have no access, what if we're in Tamagun and Rajagun platform? Kalau Shuddha Sambhava means everybody born in Kali Yuga is born as a Shudra or less. And then Prabhupada said, if you're not following Daivi Varnashram, because Shudra is also following Daivi Varnashram system. So if you're not following Daivi Varnashram system, Prabhupada said you're in animal consciousness. So like, okay, all right, I'm a Shudra, right? But Shudra means Daivi Varnashram system. Means you're connected to Krishna and Guru and instructed from Krishna through the Guru to follow those specific instructions to do the work of a Shudra, right? That's Daivi Varnashram Shudra. So it says in Kali Yuga, because so degraded age, there's no Dharma, Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Bhakti. There's no Dharma, just money, sense gratification. That's it. Everybody's living for money and sense gratification. There's no Moksha, there's no Prema, there's no Dharma. That means an animalistic consciousness. So we have one guru, he's saying, okay, he's reminding us that we're an animalistic consciousness, like two-legged animal. Gurudev said the only difference is you don't have any horns and you don't have any tail. So you have the gurus saying we're like two-legged animal consciousness, but without the horns and the tail. And then the other guru is saying you're a gopi in the mood of separation. So most people, they'll probably like to choose the second option because it sounds nicer, easier. Nobody wants to say, well, you know, I don't have horns and tail, but my instincts, my desires, it's all animalistic, materialistic, right? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, right? But I think this is fun. Do you find this to be fun type of class? I'm sorry it's not so elevated for all you followers of the Bhakti Sahajiyas, is that what it's called? Oh, Prakrita Sahajya. Taking everything cheaply. Prakrita Sahajya. Oh, I love Krishna. But I also love Maya. So in pure consciousness, this is Sandarbha. We're breaking down the Sandarbhas from Prabhupada's introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. All right? Everything's in Prabhupada's books. You just have to see how it's done. So it's talking about pure consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of Ishvara, of Krishna. So is our thinking, feeling, willing, and our activities dovetailed according to the will and the desire of Krishna? That's pure consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions, mind, intelligence, senses, will all be dovetailed in following the will and the desire of Ishvara, Krishna. And that will make us happy. It says that Krishna is only happy with pure loving devotional service. If we can somehow, by mercy, engage intelligence, mind, and senses dovetailed in devotional service to Krishna, Krishna will be happy, and then we'll automatically become happy. It's not that we're just ceasing all activities. It's just rather we're using the activities, how to purify the activities, and then the purified activities then can be offered
она тогда может быть
as devotional service and then called bhakti.
и называться бхакти.
So purifying the activities means purifying the consciousness, our consciousness,
Наше сознание
and purifying our motivation for those activities.
это деятельность.
And then it goes from materialistic to spiritual. It goes from serving Maya to serving Krishna. Nobody's saying stop all of your activities. Arjuna misunderstood. He said, oh, I have to give up fighting.
Он недопонял.
He's military man.
Он был военный.
He's householder,
Он
grihastha.
человек.
He thought, oh, I have to leave my family. I have to go to the forest. I cannot fight. I'll accumulate armor if I kill these people. He had so many misconceptions. He thought that means you have to be a sannyasi. You have to leave your family. You have to go to the forest. He couldn't understand, how can you be family man? How can you be military man fighting and killing people? How is that spiritual? That's why a lot of people, they don't understand. They get confused, just like Arjuna was confused. So the ordinary living beings, they also get confused. How is your Bible is based on fighting in the war? And then has a dilemma because he doesn't want to kill anybody. And then Krishna is saying, I want you to kill these people. Of course, Krishna said, I already killed them, but I'll give you the credit. And of course, when Krishna kills, he liberates the soul. Some details were left out of that misconception, right? And then Krishna told Arjuna, look, you're a military man. You're gonna, by your nature, you are gonna fight anyway. Your nature will force you to fight. You cannot avoid it. But purify it, do it for me as an act of devotional service. So this is, Prabhupada says, the art of doing work. So when it says purify your activities, it means purify your consciousness and your motivation for doing those activities. If you don't purify the consciousness and the motivation, how do you define purifying your activities? Like what by doing the same activities makes it purified? It's when the consciousness and the motivation is adjusted, purified, that activity now can be offered as devotional service. Now that activity, Krishna says, that activity that I've asked you to do, and you do for my service, that activity I'll consider devotional service that will purify you. And it will liberate you. And it will free you from karma bandhana. And Krishna says, any other activity that you do will just completely contaminate you and degrade you. Because it's not for me. I didn't ask you to do that. And you're a material consciousness, so this type of activity will continue to contaminate and degrade the consciousness. It is not that we just cease the activities of psychophysical nature, rather our activities are meant to be purified, and then the purified activities, that is called bhakti. That's Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma means bhakti. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities. The only difference is it's not contaminated. So if the consciousness is purified by proper sufficient hearing and chanting, we remember we're not the body, we're eternal servants of Krishna, Shishya, Das, disciple, servant of Guru Krishna. That is the actual identity of the soul. And then in that consciousness, doing that activity, following those instructions for the pleasure of Guru Krishna, that will purify and liberate
Вот
us.
это очистит нас, освободит нас.
Prabhupada says when we are materially contaminated,
Материально осквернены,
we are called conditioned.
нас называют обусловленными.
We have a false
У
consciousness.
нас ложное сознание.
So when we forget
Поэтому, когда мы забываем,
that we are eternal servants of Guru and Krishna, that forgetfulness of our true constitutional position identity, that means you're in false consciousness or false ego. We're under illusion.
находишься в иллюзии.
False consciousness is exhibited under the impression, we're getting the impression that we are product of material nature.
Того, что является продуктами материальной энергии.
We're born in this family,
Были рождены в этой
in this land, in this community.
семье, в этой общине.
So we're just products of the material nature. That is called the false ego
Это называется
or false consciousness.
ложного сознания.
This is an important point right here. It says one who is absorbed in the thoughts of bodily conceptions
Телесная концепция
cannot
не может
properly understand his situation.
понять свое положение.
So if we are in the bodily concept of life, we're identifying with the false consciousness, the false ego, identifying with our body, bodily relations, attached to the body. It says in that consciousness, in that false consciousness, in that under that false ego, under that illusion, one cannot understand his situation. So to try to analyze ourselves and our situation, materially or spiritually, when we have contaminated, polluted intelligence, mind, and senses, we cannot see ourselves and our situation properly. In that sense, we are deaf, dumb, and blind. So because of pride, because of false ego, because of conceited nature, then we have a very high impression of ourselves. Self-esteem. This is why I think I'm foolish. This is why I think I'm great. This is why you should think I'm great. Right? Running after prestige. That's illusion. And therefore that pride, Prabhupada says, it makes one blind. So we're overly, what is the word? About the adhika?
Overestimating.
We're overestimating our situation, materially and spiritually. Enrico, does your father like our strictness in our class? We're trying to give your son a good information.
Saying that he did a lot of kilometers for coming here.
A lot of what?
He traveled a lot to come here.
For coming here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. I also traveled a lot of kilometers to come here to speak to you. I think I traveled more kilometers than you did. I came from Los Angeles. That's a little further. Then I went to Russia, the evil Russia, the scary, evil place of Russia. And then I escaped from the Gulag and the KGB. And I came here to India to see all of you. But I agree, if you come a long way and then you come and you start
Я согласен.
talking about the subtleties of these topics, your head can a little bit blow up, you know? So I'm sympathetic,
Я к вам симпатизирую.
and especially first time meeting,
В особенности первая встреча.
but everybody wanted me to speak tonight,
Мы все хотели, чтобы
and they wanted me to speak about spiritual, serious
о
topic,
духовных серьезных темах.
so I'm forced to do it.
Поэтому я заставлен это делать.
So thank you for your patience.
Спасибо за ваше
I
терпение.
appreciate it.
Я это ценю.
I brought one of my friends from America to come to hear from my guru,
Послушайте от моего
and
гуру.
I put him in the
Я
front,
его прямо с первой встречи посадил.
and he's a big guy.
Он здоровый парень.
So I was in the back. I said, "Oh, my friend, he's in the front. He's listening to Maharaj. Maharaj is like speaking so heavy, strong, uncompromising." Then I look. I said, "Oh, where's my friend?"
Смотрю, подождите, а вдруг там сделал?
I noticed he wasn't in the
Он
class.
заметил в лекции, что нет.
So later, I saw him after Prashadam. I said, "Oh, I didn't see you. I didn't know where you went."
Ты куда пошел?
And he said, "Oh, I had to go shopping."
Это было по магазинам.
So sometimes, you need some shopping therapy.
Иногда нужна шутка терапия.
So he went for shopping therapy.
Пошел на шутку терапию.
So where am I? One who is absorbed in the thought of their bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life. And Arjuna, he put himself in the position in order to receive that information, instruction from Krishna. So one must become free from the bodily conception of life, and that is the preliminary activity for the transcendentalist. So if we've not met the preliminary activity and qualification of the transcendentalist, and not come to liberated state of consciousness, where pure devotional service begins, then what Raganuga Bhakti are you doing? It's all trespassing. It's illegal breaking and entering. Mukti, liberation, Brahma Bhuta platform means liberated from contaminated consciousness of the material world and situated in pure consciousness. So if we're not situated in pure consciousness, Shuddha Sattva, that means we're not completely free from the contamination of the material consciousness. That means more cleansing, more purification, more liberation work has to be done. The instructions of the Bhagavad Gita are that process of purification, which is intended to awaken pure consciousness. And therefore we find at the last stage of the Gita's instructions of Krishna, where Krishna is asking Arjuna whether he is now in purified consciousness. So Krishna is trying to purify his consciousness, answer his questions, destroy his doubts, get rid of his misconception, get him fixed up in the science of Krishna consciousness. So at the end of all of that teaching, instruction, he's asking Arjuna, Krishna is asking Arjuna, have you heard my instructions properly? Can you see and realize now that you're in pure consciousness? Do you understand the difference between pure consciousness and contaminated material consciousness? Have you awakened to that pure consciousness? Purified consciousness means acting in accordance with the instructions of the Lord. So, without purified consciousness, we cannot really surrender. And without really surrendering, we cannot receive instructions from Krishna as to what he wants us to do as his servant. Prabhupada said you cannot doubt Krishna, challenge Krishna, and know him at the same time. We cannot surrender to Krishna if we don't trust Krishna, if we don't know Krishna, if we can't hear Krishna, then how we can surrender to Krishna, and then what is our seva? What is our service? So purified consciousness means that one is acting not artificially, not sentimentally, not theoretically, practically, actually, acting according to the instructions of the Lord. And this is the whole the sum and substance of purified consciousness, of Krishna consciousness. When we understand, yes, Krishna, Bhagavan, His Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are Das, we are all eternal servants of Krishna, that Sanatan Dharma is to surrender to Krishna and agree to cooperate with Krishna as to what is our service, what he wants us to do. It's not you just do, Prabhupada says, not you just do whatever you want and say, oh, Krishna, that was for you. Prabhupada said that is not the mood of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service means the living entity understands what is Krishna's instructions, what does Krishna want you to do, and then doing that in purified consciousness to satisfy Krishna. So that is the actual cooperation. Prabhupada said you could be Krishna conscious in a moment if you would just cooperate. We're not cooperating because we're still influenced by this bodily platform and contaminated material consciousness. I'm just skipping a lot of it because you guys don't have enough digestion. I don't want to kill the patient. Prabhupada's talking about the cooperation. That the Supreme Lord, He is the Supreme Enjoyer. He is the Creator. And we are subordinate. We are subordinate living beings. We are meant to cooperate to satisfy Him. We're trying to satisfy ourselves. Selfishly, or extended selfishness means family, friends, community. Selfish, extended selfishness. But the real cooperation is how to understand what Krishna wants from us and do that service for Krishna's satisfaction. Prabhupada said this cooperation, if we will just cooperate, that will actually help us. The central figure of the creation and of the enjoyment is the Supreme Lord. The living entities are cooperators, not competitors, but cooperators. And by your cooperation, then you can enjoy. Prabhupada said if you don't put the food in your mouth to go to your stomach,
в рот,
then your whole body cannot be
твое
satisfied.
все тело не сможет быть удовлетворено.
You can't take an ice cream cone and put it on your hand
Мороженое и воткнуть в руку
and enjoy
и
it.
наслаждаться так.
It will burn a hole
Оно там
in your hand if it's cold enough, right?
оно холодное.
So it has to go to the center, it has to go to the stomach.
Это должно идти в желудок.
So if we'll just cooperate with our activities and do for Krishna's pleasure,
В нашей деятельности
then automatically
творение Кришны,
the body
когда в самом
automatically will then become happy.
автоматически мы станем
By cooperation,
через сотрудничество.
then we can enjoy it.
Вот тогда мы сможем
Prabhupada said, you're trying to enjoy separate from
Вы
Krishna.
пытаетесь наслаждаться независимо от
Everybody wants to enjoy, everybody wants to be happy.
все хотят быть счастливыми.
But your activities
Но ваши действия,
are acting as
ваши
competitor to Krishna,
действия, как соперники,
and you're not surrendering and cooperating what Krishna wants you to do.
не сотрудничаете,
Therefore, Krishna's not happy,
хочет, чтобы вы делали.
you're not happy, nobody's happy.
Ты недоволен, никто не счастливый.
If the master
Если хозяин
is fully satisfied,
полностью удовлетворен,
like master and servant, if the master is fully satisfied, then the servant will be satisfied, will be taken care of.
оно будет позаботиться.
So similarly, the Lord should be satisfied.
Должен быть удовлетворен.
So this is a matter of
Это
consciousness,
вопрос сознания,
cooperation,
сотрудничества,
motivation,
мотивация.
and without purified
И без этого
consciousness,
сознания
we cannot really understand
мы не
it.
сможем на самом
We
деле.
don't really have access to
На
it.
самом деле не будет должен.
And all the other activities will just be done for our own
Что все это делать
pleasure
для собственного удовольствия?
in the name of spiritual life.
Духовной жизни.
So yeah, this is a lot of heavy lifting tonight,
Так,
huh?
мы у нас много тяжелого подъема.
How do you think I feel? You're just worried about yourself,
Я себя чувствую. Вы там уже на себя только
right? You're worrying about your own heaviness with this conversation. How do you think I feel
А вы думаете,
with all of your heaviness?
как все ваши тяжести?
That's not easy.
Это нелегко.
That's why it's easy to just be like this kind of guru who just comes and gives blessings to everybody.
Благословение.
Yes, yes, Krishna loves you, you love Krishna, do something for
Вы
Krishna.
делаете что-то для Кришны.
Chalo.
И все, давайте.
Then they just go, they just run away.
Уезжают,
Right?
уезжают.
No one wants to do the heavy
Кто-то
work.
хочет делать тяжелую работу.
But if you really want
Если
it,
ты действительно хочешь,
a good result, we have to be willing to do the heavy work.
готовы делать тяжелую работу.
So if we can make the heavy work fun and productive, even though it's not easy, and you understand the benefit that you will get by agreeing to go through that process, then very soon you'll understand this is really the way that you get blessing. This is really the way that you get mercy. Not by taking easy way out, cheating, avoiding the heavy work, the hard work. Sentimental is easier. Just imagining that everything's already been done, that appears to be easier, but really you don't get anywhere. You just stay stuck. And then what's the point of all of this? So,
Hare Krishna. Shri Gurudev, I was wondering because this person who is in Sattvagun, the Brahmana, so, but it was said earlier that he still identifies with the body, the
Yeah.
bodily situation, that I am a Brahmana.
yeah.
So he still has that upadi or, you know, like misconception, an identity other than servant of Krishna.
Yeah.
So how, so that, isn't that some ignorance there?
Yeah. It's just they're getting their satisfaction because they're feeling more happy. People are showing them some respect in the community. So they have a little bit more subtle type of enjoyment. They think they're well situated. I have nice qualities. People are respecting me. And because generally they're not acting sinfully, so therefore their activities are more pure. So therefore also the sinful reactions, there's not so much punishing them. And so they get this kind of feeling of happiness, superiority. They're more nicely situated. They're kind of enjoying that position. But it's still Maya. It's still under. Even the demigods are afflicted by Maya, influence. It's just their level of enjoyment is, 100,000 higher material attachment, still influenced by material qualities. Sometimes they get puffed up. Sometimes they get carried away with their sense gratification. Even that is not sufficient. That's why even the demigods are saying, I wish I'd take birth in America, not in America. I was just reading all the hate of America, It's like, who wants to take birth there right now? Especially.
The demigods want to take birth on Earth.
Maybe America, I don't know.
Yeah.
They want to take in on the Earth planet because they know this planet, you don't have to be enamored by sense gratification. It's more easier to practice spiritual life. Because you can feel, the heaviness, the reactions of material life. So you can be more serious. When everything is going great and you're enjoying to the nth degree, they don't really have a spiritual desire to go beyond that. Because they're enjoying too much. So if you're on Brahman platform, you're Brahmana, and you're enjoying material life because you know how to do it a little more smart, you're still trying to enjoy material life. And material enjoyment it's more subtle. Because you have nice qualities, people glorifying you, people respecting you. You have a more, disciplined type of behavior, quality of life. So you have more peace, more happiness than lower modes, Tamagun, Rajagun. But even that's not enough. Yeah. So the covering is there, but it's a smaller covering. Tamagun is like black clouds, right? They say the sun is out, but you don't feel any sun. There's very little light, but all dark clouds. So as the clouds are going, as it's getting purified, then you have like wispy clouds, like almost completely clear, but still there's some cloud there. So it means a false ego, material contamination is a little bit less, but it's not completed. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one was why it's so easy to contaminate consciousness, but
Because it's already contaminated. Why is it so easy to contaminate consciousness? Because it's already contaminated. That's why it's so easy.
like it takes a lot of work to purify, but in order to just lose all of that progress, it's very, very easy.
You have to be careful. When you work really hard to achieve something, and then very easily you can lose it, then you'll be more careful. Because you're working so hard to get something, you'll be more understand the value. So we'll be much more careful to protect it. So we have to go through that learning experience as well. So you're working so hard to achieve, and then so easily you can lose it. So that means we have to be more diligent. More, what's the word, like, careful. more protective. We have to protect what we're trying to cultivate. And we know this is a dangerous world. Every step is danger. So if we're not, Prabhupada talks about that if you're shaving and then you're inattentive. So if you're inattentive, then the bloodshed. So if we're just being foolish, inattentive, then we can get caught. Then we're risking losing the opportunity that's being given to us. So we have to protect it. These classes helps us because it brings to focus what are we trying to do. We're just saying we're devotee. We're at the temple, we went for Prasadam, we're devotee. Right? But devotee means that they're trying to get liberated and stay liberated. That's a bare minimum devotee. Because that's the platform where you're agreeing to cooperate to surrender and serve Krishna's instructions. If we're not on that consciousness on that platform, then us saying that we're devotees. I remember one devotee said, "Thank you, Gurudev, for tolerating my service." And I was like, what kind of service are we doing that it has to be tolerated? Krishna says, if you offer with loving devotion, then I'll accept it. There's no loving devotion, Krishna not going to accept it. You can say, oh, Krishna, thank you for tolerating my service. He's not tolerating it. So devotee means, how do I purify my consciousness and get free from material desires and material attachments? How do I get out of this bodily conception of life? That's the work of devotee. How to get into that pure consciousness and how to stay in that pure consciousness. If we're not working for that and trying to stay in that, then what is the meaning of saying we're devotees? Devotee of what? Devotee means Shuddha Bhakta. That's the real definition. Bhakti means Prem Bhakti. Vaishnava means Shuddha Sattva. That means beyond three modes of material nature. That's Vaishnava. So we're going around here, we're associating with all the Vaishnavas. And then you say we're aspiring Vaishnavas, and then how much are we really aspiring? If we're not cooperating, are we aspiring? It's more like hope against hope. Then we're just praying for causeless mercy, because we don't even deserve it. Do you feel well situated?
One more fan.
Anybody else? This is such a light class, isn't it? Doesn't it feel light? Are you feeling the light and the love? We want the light and the love without the tapo divyam. We don't want to pay the price. Even materially, if you want to be successful, you have to sell your soul. You have to become a slave to the corporation. Isn't it? Elon Musk is sleeping on the floor in the building. These people are not sleeping, not eating. They're working like asses day and night, 365, 24/7. Even materially, you have to pay heavy, heavy price to be successful. And now we're talking about prem dana, and we think it just is easy. And we can, Prabhupada said you can do any damn thing. And then all of a sudden it's just going to be like handed over to you. Even though we don't deserve it. We have to deserve it. Krishna says until you get free of sinful desire and sinful attachments, you cannot go back to the spiritual world. So are we working to get free from material desire and material attachment and trying to purify and cleanse our consciousness to come to some liberated type of consciousness so that we can cooperate and follow Krishna's instructions? Is that our intention? Is that why we're here? We have to ask ourselves that question. Everyone has to ask themselves that question. Krishna is the witness, he is the judge. He's in everybody's heart. He'll see how serious are we. You don't have to convince me. I don't have to convince you either. I have to convince my spiritual master and Krishna, Prabhupada. If they're happy by my effort, then they shower mercy, blessing on me, then I have some hope. I have some chance. That's who we're trying to please. We're not trying to win popularity contests, obviously, because how many people want to hear this type of class? For hours at a time. After traveling, thousands of miles. Maybe someday I'll go to Italy. I always had desire to go to Italy. I was follower of Saint Francis of Assisi. He was my patron saint. I had Jesus and Saint Francis of Assisi. And they brought me to Krishna consciousness. Then I got Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru Gauranga, Radha Krishna. So I always, when I read in my life, I used to read about Saint Francis of Assisi. And he was the son of a very wealthy cloth merchant. He had a lot of money. His father was a very prosperous person. And one day he came, he took off all of his silk clothes and put on a bag which is made for the potatoes. Canvas. He made some hole. He put his hand through the canvas, made place for his head, and then he tied a rope around the canvas, around the potato bag, and became like mendicant. Then Krishna, God came in his dream and told him, I want you to rebuild my church. And he thought it meant to go in all the towns and the villages and to literally, like carpenter, to rebuild all of the churches. And then he got a lot of followers who were helping him to rebuild the churches. And they would go to the mountains in Italy and they would chant holy name, like Sankirtan. And they'll just go to one church, to the next church, next church. So I remember reading like that, and I was attracted to the association of like-minded devotees, traveling church to church, trying to rebuild, help people in their devotional service. So I was always attracted to that. I always thought maybe in some previous life I was from Italy. Because when I would read all those pastimes, I would really visualize those pastimes. I feel like I saw that place before. I'm not telling you this just because you're from Italy. I'm telling you really. So I think sometime in future, I'm going to go to Italy. And we're going to spread Krishna consciousness there. That's our desire. So you guys have to help us. Enrico has to bring us to Italy. And his mother, now his father. You guys have to help. But I don't know, because Italians, they like to enjoy. They like to eat nice. They have best food. They like to drink a little bit. They like a sense gratification. Everybody's like a big party. Everybody likes a big party. So I don't know if they'll like this austerity presentation. Might feel a little tight for them. It was tight for us also. But what to do? If we want to advance in spiritual life, we have to take it up. It's not easy. There's one saying we always say, nobody said it was going to be easy. Prabhupada said, this is not, it's not child's play. This is for serious people. That's why people, they say, don't talk about surrendering, don't talk about regulative principles, don't talk about, divine austerities, purification of consciousness. This thing is unattractive. But how are you going to get everything if we don't understand it, if we don't embrace it? We have to pay a price. It's easy to say we're devotee if you don't have to pay any price. If you want to give it to me for free, I'll be devotee. You want to give me Krishna Prema? Great, I'll take it. The devotee came to my room and said, if you're a spiritual master, you're supposed to give Krishna Prema. I want Krishna Prema right now. And he's asking me. I said, this seems like a little premature. Can we really demand and expect? So any last thing? Any other final thoughts? Yeah?
Hare Krishna Swami.
Hare Krishna.
Many times when I'm chanting or hearing or I'm in the kirtan, my mind is so much disturbing me that I cannot hear properly, I cannot focus.
You have to beat it with the shoe. You have a shoe, you can beat your mind with the shoe. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Get a stick, a shoe, just beat your mind. Rascal mind, stupid mind, nonsense mind. Otherwise, like, oh, I'm a victim. Be strong. Be determined. Don't be victim. Be strong. Be bold. Make a determination. Rededicate yourself. It's not like on or off. Every day we have to rededicate. Not automatic. Nothing is automatic. What we put into it is what we're going to get out of it. As you surrender to me, I reward you accordingly. That's what Krishna says. So what we're putting into it is what we're getting out of it. If you're not happy with your results, we have to do more. We have to cooperate more. More and better. All right?
I have one more question. How I can communicate with devotees nicely so that they will not disturb and I will also not.
How to communicate with the
How to communicate nicely with devotees so they won't be disturbed and I won't also be disturbed.
But if you're both disturbed, then your communication will be disturbing. So if you are in nice consciousness and they're in nice consciousness, then your communication will be very nice. There should be no fighting and screaming amongst the devotees. This is unbelievable. Fighting and screaming. Devotees do not fight and scream. Even materially, you shouldn't do like that. If you're fighting and screaming materially, you're just like a mad fellow, mad lady. And then you come to devotional life and you're practicing spiritual life and you're fighting and screaming? What kind of chanting are you doing? This is crazy. Fighting and screaming. And then people are gonna, leave their material house to come and join your fighting and screaming house. If they want fighting and screaming, they'll just stay where they are. At least they know those people.
Yeah, at least they know that.
You're supposed to give something better, isn't it? Sometimes your house is more peaceful than the temple. I need to go back to my house. I need some break from the fighting and the screaming. What kind of ashram is this? This like MMA? Is it just like mixed martial arts? We got to get some gloves and bang it out. Everybody's false ego can bang it out. All right? We have to fix our consciousness and our motivation, and then you'll attract nice association. If you're crazy, you'll attract crazy. If you're disturbed, you'll attract disturbing. They find each other. You ever notice that? Like crazy people, right? How they find each other. It's unbelievable. It's like they have this crazy DNA, like some extra chromosome or something. It's a very unique situation. It's extraordinary. Right? That's how Mataji found our other devotees. They're both like little crazy, they're little needy. shared victimization. We were wronged. We got cheated. We're victims. Any last thing? Yeah.
Thank you very much that you gave us opportunity to come here. So my question is how to get rid from mental laziness and how to really start doing internal work.
Okay, what?
Laziness.
What?
Mental laziness.
Mental laziness?
Yeah.
You mean tamagun? Don't associate with the tamagun people. Because then everyone will just say, are you tired? I say, yeah, I was feeling good. Were you feeling tired? Yeah, I was also feeling tired. Then you'll be snoring. We got confirmation. Wherever you go, you have confirmation. So we need to associate with enthusiastic people who have a good energy, good attitude, surrendering, serving nicely, stay in nice association. Then it's catchy. So if you serve with enthusiastic people, you'll become enthusiastic. Automatically, you have to be. So if you're not very enthusiastic, associate with enthusiastic people. And get that energy from their enthusiasm. So stay in nice, enthusiastic association, stay fully engaged, take shelter of holy name, and this tamagun, all this ignorance, all this thing will leave you. Are you enthusiastic? Trying? How about your mother? Is she enthusiastic? Or are you guys just confirming each other's tiredness? Are you tired, Mom? A little bit. How about you, daughter? Are you tired? Sort of, yes. Okay, confirmation. We're tired. Let's take a nap. Then you wake up going,
Internal work.
it's like a zombie, you know? I don't know why I'm not enthusiastic. What did you have for the prasadam? What was it yesterday?
Yesterday was chow mein and samosa.
Yeah, chow mein, samosas, Russian bread, butter, cheese. Right, it's just like your head's like a brick. All you want to do is sleep. Isn't it? Prabhupada said in the morning you're supposed to take break fast, not break head. So he's saying that breakfast is so heavy. It's like a break head. That's why we always have istagosti before prasadam. Because everyone wants to quickly get it over with. All right? Yeah?
May I ask one more?
One more.
Yeah?
How to treat internal work in flex?
She's asking about internal work.
Just chant, be a devotee, be simple. Don't be mental kids. Mental, emotional drama. We got to give up this attachment. Just be simple. Not so mental. All right? Be more simple. You'll be more happy also. Don't overthink it. Just go with the flow. What Gurudev asked to do, just do that. Be enthusiastic, be simple-hearted, try to please Guru Krishna, associate with simple-hearted devotees who are enthusiastic, surrendering to do their seva, get caught up in their energy and their enthusiasm, stay busy, be happy, don't grumble and complain. Oh, it's never gonna work. Pessimistic, grumbling, complain. Be with positive-minded people. It's easier. If you're prone to negativity and doom and gloom, then associate with people who are more light and bright and enthusiastic. Then you'll become more like them by association. All right? Don't spend so much time by yourself. Otherwise, you're just sitting listening to this heavy mind. Oh, it'll wear you down, it contaminate you, bewilder you. You'll be in complete anxiety. And then you're like, okay, I got to get myself out of this anxiety. You're just making it worse. You need some better information. You got to come out of the room, out of the cave, into the light. Does that help? I hope so. Sometimes when we're moving around, whenever I see somebody who's enthusiastic, even in the mundane world, I always tell Amba, I like that person's enthusiasm. It's such a nice quality. If someone's very enthusiastic and they like what they're doing and they're positive and it's a very nice quality. Prabhupada said, if you're very simple, sincere, and enthusiastic, I can open up temple in every town, every city. Just if you're simple, you have simple faith, and you're enthusiastic. Sometimes they have this saying that, like in business and sales or marketing, they always talk about enthusiasm, right? You have to be enthusiastic. And then sometimes you don't feel enthusiastic, right? And they have this thing like, fake it till you make it. So just start acting enthusiastic, even if you don't feel it. And associate with enthusiastic people, and all of a sudden, somehow, you'll feel more enthusiastic. Just by association, just by desire. I should be more enthusiastic. I should stop grumbling and complaining. I should stop overthinking everything, complicating everything. Just do the seva. You're too busy thinking about it to then actually do it. I'm just thinking about it. No, just do it. Whatever intelligence you need, it will come to you automatically. Okay? That will get you off of emotional platform. This emotion, too much emotion, that's a material, contaminated mind consciousness. So we need to transcend that emotionalism. Minimize as much as possible. When we identify bodily concept, then we become identified with our feelings, our emotions. And all these feelings, emotions, modes of nature, everything is up and down, left and right. I remember when we first joined, your emotions would be sky high and then super low. It was like a roller coaster ride. Like super highs and super lows. But Krishna said, don't get too high. Don't get too low. Try to find somewhere the golden middle. So if we're doing properly, we won't get too high, we'll not get too low. Then everything is just gradually anyway coming and going, adjusting. Some days other devotees strong, some next day you feel strong. Krishna doesn't make everybody weak on the same day. So whoever's feeling good, strong, positive, surrendered, associate with them. I remember when I had to do book distribution, sometimes I was like moving real slow to get the books in the car because I was tired, we got up too early, little grumbling and complaining. Your mind is rejecting, your body's rejecting, but still you have to do it because that's your duty, that's your service. Right? Just like mother, right? Baby screaming, crying, sick. The mother, can't take a day off. No matter how they're feeling, they still have to surrender. They still have to do the seva. So you don't have to don't wait till you feel great, because it's probably not going to always happen at all. Can you imagine if we all just said, okay, I'll surrender and cooperate when I feel really great? Like nothing will happen. Everyone will be sitting around like, do you feel great yet? No. How about you? No, not really. Nothing would get done. But I remember one of his devotees, he was so enthusiastic to distribute books. He was always just fired out, always first person at the car, first person putting the books in the car. And I would just try to catch some energy and positive vibes by his association. And then next thing you know, I'm in the car, we're driving to the airport, we're going to spend the whole day distributing books. And then you become blissful because you surrendered. Right? But sometimes in the beginning, sometimes we don't really feel like doing, we don't want to do it, we're lazy, we're tired, some disturbances there, and do it anyway. Because very soon, that goes away. God helps those who help themselves. But to even be able to help ourselves, sometimes we just need good association. Who are just encouraging us, supporting us, sometimes chastising us. I remember one time I went in a book distribution, it was a snowstorm, a blizzard. Nobody was in the parking lot. Nobody was crazy enough to go out of their house. And we're driving to the shopping mall to distribute books. And I'm driving there, I'm like, this is crazy. Nobody's gonna come out. My mind was really rejecting. It's like sub-zero, freezing cold. I'm dying. And then this person's trying to drop me off in the morning. And he said, I'll pick you up at, 5 p.m. So my mind was like, this is crazy. This is too much. I was like brand new devotee. I just joined like 3 weeks earlier, I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. And then I remember telling the devotee, I said, look, I'm really tired. I feel tired. He said, take a nap. I said, I can take a nap? He said, yeah. I think he said, I think it was like 7 minutes.
7 minutes now.
He said, I'll give you take a nap for 7 minutes. It was like 7 minutes. That's like nothing. I'm exhausted. I feel like a bear right now. 7 minutes. And then he breaks it down. He said, no, 7 minutes is perfect. Now he's visioning me. I'm like, all right, you tell me how 7 minutes is perfect. And he's like, yes, this will recharge your battery. And then once your battery is recharged, when you wake up, you'll get like some energy. And if you sleep more than 7 minutes, you'll go into tamagun. So we have to little cheat the system to recharge the battery without going into tamagun. And I was so desperate, I was like, okay, I'll take 7 minutes, even 7 minutes. And then he said, okay, I'll time you. Okay, go to sleep. And then all of a sudden he wakes me up. And I felt like really pretty good, you know? And I said, how long was I sleeping? He said, 7 minutes. And then he pushed me out of the car into the snowstorm. So don't wait for your mind and your body and everything to feel fantastic. We have to do it anyway. And just be humble. It's divine austerity. You don't have to like it. But anyway, this is purifying me. It's humbling me. It's forcing me to surrender, even though I don't want to surrender. So that's good for us. If everything has to be perfect, and anyone can surrender if everything's perfect and you feel great. But what about if it's not easy surrender or service? Then it's not so easy. And then we have to try our best, be in good association, try not to grumble and complain. That's also not easy, because our instinct is to grumble and complain. I don't like this. This is not going nicely. This is not positive. Right? Just say anyway. Don't get too much affected as much as possible. And it has to be practiced. Sometimes we'll be better at it, and sometimes we'll be struggling. But we have to practice it in good association. It makes it easier. Devotees helping each other, encouraging each other, supporting each other. That helps a lot. Prabhupada said, if you're just alone, nobody will make it alone. Prabhupada said, if you have one little stick, easily you can break it. But if you get many sticks together and you bind it, you cannot so easily break it. That's why association is so critical, especially in the beginning, but always. Because that is how we can be protected and supported and encouraged, so that we don't misunderstand and we don't get carried away by some misunderstanding or some bad feeling, emotion, thoughts. All of this thing can be adjusted. If we can just, survive it. My Gurudev used to say, you have to pray for the power of tolerance. And I always thought tolerance is just something everyone just has to try to do. I don't know that you can pray for power of tolerance. But then Krishna will put us in so many situations where it's intolerable. It seems intolerable. And then I remember Gurudev's instruction, then pray for the power of tolerance so that you can tolerate it without grumbling and complaining. And it really works. At the time, I didn't understand, like, why would you, I thought you just have to try to be tolerant. But what if you're in a situation which is way beyond your ability to understand or tolerate? Now can you tolerate and keep your mind steady? Not so easy. So good association, praying for power of tolerance, and then try your best. God helps those who help themselves. And before you know it, because you're trying to surrender, you get momentum, enthusiasm will come, and then all of a sudden you get some blessings, some reciprocation. And then you're like, thank God I surrendered. Thank God I didn't let Maya stop me. I hope that helps you. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your association tonight and for our discussion. I hope that helped you. And we'll try to see you tomorrow. Shri Gauri Tai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudev ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanande, Hare Krishna. Mataji, all right? Oh, Krishna. Be positive. Huh? I want to wear it. What is it? Is it anchor? I'm not really a guru. You just needed someone to do this for me. All right? Externally, now we have to become devoted. Right? Externally, we got it together. Internally, that's the hard part. You gotta start somewhere. Right? Try to look like and then gradually, by mercy of Guru Krishna devotee, then all of a sudden we're becoming like devoted. Right? Thank you for coming all the way. We're very happy to have you. Everybody's waiting for you to come. I said, this is going to be very interesting. Now Enrico says her character. I'm like, how is this? How must must have good father. Good mother. Are you also artistic? Yeah? Musical? Yeah? Music. He's being humble. That's good. Yeah, take it going. You move away. Take this one. Give this one to your friend. Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Haribo.
And his mother becoming devotee, becoming really happy. Much more peaceful, happy. That's a good sign. Thank you very much. After that class, I need this. You guys are making me work.
I mean, how should the Prabhupada, like all the time, says everything in the Prabhupada.
It just has to be brought out. Because it's kind of little hidden in there. If you read Siddharthas and then you read this like on this platform, it's the same information. Who's Krishna, the Lord, the Sanskrit, who, all the same. He's bringing a focus. It's hiding on the All right, have a good rest. Chant the Brihate. Thank you for tolerating my tedious class. What do you want me to do? Want me just to flatter you? Oh, you're all so nice devotees. You all love Krishna. You're all so surrendered. Should I say like that? Except Ashutosh. Only one.
Jai.